Hello everyone, welcome to our game show. We have a very exciting one for you today with a lot on the line. But before we start, let's meet our contestants. First, Sway. Thank you so much for having me. I worked really hard to get here. I just want to say hi to my mom and my dad. That's great. Good luck. Thank you so much. And next we have Sway. I am so ready. Let's go. I bet you are, Sway. And last but not least, Sway. Yep. Whatever. Okay then, are we ready to see our categories? As I said, a lot on the line here, folks. Sway, are you ready to begin? Why is there only one category? Sway, why don't you go ahead and start? Neutrals for $1 million, let's go! Starting spicy, I see. All right. This minion deals its damage to another minion. This is obviously Nuzao. In the form of a question, what is Nuzao? Well, you are really wrong for a number of reasons. Nuzao is a beast for starters. Nope, this is tier 5 Mad Matador. A 0-8 taunt that reads, when this would take damage, deal it to a random enemy minion instead, once per combat. Down $1 million already, Sway. That's some bad luck. No coming back from that one. Sway, go ahead and select again. Neutrals for $100. Pulling back a bit. Smart. This is a tier 1 minion that you don't actively have to do anything to change its stats. What is Tavern Tipper? Always tip your bob. You should always tip your bob, but you are very wrong. Tavern Tipper will be leaving the Battlegrounds. This is tier 1 Beleaguered Battler. A 4/5, which at the start of your turn, lose 1 attack. Yikes. Alright, Sway, this is the one. Let's try again. Alright. Neutrals for 500, please. Perfect. This card text reads, give a random friendly minion Divine Shield. Easy. Selfless Hero. Let's go. Incorrect. Selfless Hero will be leaving the Battlegrounds. This is tier 3 Feyrix, Wrath of the Sun. A Divine Shielded 3/1 which has the text Avenge 4. Give a random friendly minion Divine Shield. Tough luck. Alright, Sway, your turn. This seems really rigged, and I don't like things being rigged unless I'm doing the rigging. Whatever. Neutrals for 1,000, I guess. Wow. Sway thinks this is rigged. Shocker. This is a tier 5 minion that gains stats itself when you do or have other things. This has to be Mithrax. In the form of a question, please. What is Mithrax? Wrong. Mithrax is also leaving the Battlegrounds. This, of course, is Ensorcelled Fungus. The tier 5 2/4 that reads, has +1/+2 for each tavern spell you've cast this game, wherever this is. Let's circle back to you, Sway. Let's go for neutrals, 100,000. Alrighty, this is a tier 6 minion that buffs minions of different types. Ooh, my favorite. Who is Theatar? Absolutely not. Theatar will be leaving the Battlegrounds. This is Nala the Redeemer, a 5/7 tier 6 that says, whenever you cast a tavern spell, give a friendly minion of each type +2/+1. Who? Listen, I'm gonna really need you to stop crying until after the show. Can you go ahead and pick again, please? Neutrals for 500,000. Perfect. Our last one. This is your comeback opportunity. I'm going to have you all write down your answers and a wager. You can wager whatever you'd like, and we'll see if you can make a comeback. This minion has Wind Fury and is on tier 6. Go ahead and write down your answers. Okay, time's up. Let's see those answers. Sway said, who is Zap Slywick, and wagered only $1. Not too confident, huh, Sway? Okay, Sway, let's see what you said. You said Zap Slywick as well, and you wagered everything. Let's go! Indeed. Last but not least, Sway. You also said Zap, and you also wagered everything. If this is something that we have never heard of, again, I swear. Well, I'm happy to tell you, you're all wrong. Zap is also leaving the Battlegrounds. This is our Tier 6 Organ Vigilante with the stats of 10, 20, and text, this minion always attacks an enemy minion that it can kill, if possible. That means literally all of you lose, so make sure you talk to a production assistant on your way out so we can figure out how to get all this debt settled up that you accrued. And that was our show. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you stick around for a word from our sway, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching my reveal video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. It was incredibly chaotic, but I didn't get to talk about all of the minions leaving, and I kind of wanted to deep dive the new ones coming in, so let's go do that. We're starting with Tier 1 for our minions leaving. We're starting with Tavern Tipper. This is a minion that joined the Battlegrounds, left, joined, and is now leaving again. Depending on the hero that you played on turn 1, 2, 3, you know, Zarella, Millhouse, you got some pretty good value from it. But we have a new minion on Tier 1 with a very large stat line, so we'll talk about that later, but I'm pretty excited for it. On Tier 2, we have Selfless Hero leaving. This was astonishing for me. I am pretty certain, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Selfless Hero has been in the game since Battlegrounds started, if I remember correctly. I think it was on a different tier. I believe it started on Tier 1. Again, I might totally be lying here. It's kind of crazy to think about it leaving. Now we have a new Divine Shield provider, which is so different than our Selfless Hero with an Avenge mechanic. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out. On Tier 3, we have Iron Groundskeeper leaving. This minion was both frustrating and so interesting to me. Frustrating because sometimes I would forget that I would have Bran or Echoes of Argus or something that would not allow it to do what I wanted it to do. But so interesting to take Taunt off of something that we knew to have Taunt. I really liked that aspect. Also, it made putting Taunt on something feel a lot less bad because you knew you could take it off later if you needed to. So we no longer have that mechanic. However, we did see earlier today that we are at least having a spell that provides Taunt coming to the Tavern spells. And as far as we know, the Oozling Gladiator will still be around, so that's another Taunt provider. Mostly just sad to see the mechanic of removing Taunt go. Next up, we have Reef Explorer. This is our Tier 4. Discover a minion of a minion type you don't control. This one left and came back, and I was so happy it came back. I loved this minion. It gave some great economy, and sometimes you found some really nice minions from it. So I'm sad to see it go, but it's moving on to greener reefs, I guess. Next, we have Leroy the Reckless leaving. This is our Tier 5. This is massive. Leroy was a fantastic removal tool, especially when you got to a point in the game where your opponents were outscaling you drastically, and this was a really nice way of being able to have a comeback. Not requiring venomous or poisonous, but still minion removal. So this is massive to not have Leroy in anymore, and I'm curious to see if anything is coming in that will work similarly to Leroy, if that whole mechanic will go away. Yeah, Leroy leaving is huge. Also on Tier 5, Mithrax the Unraveler will be leaving. Oh, Mithrax has come and go a few times, this menagerie support minion, but it itself is an untyped minion that gains stats from having a menagerie board. This is sometimes helpful when you need just kind of a big body on the board and you tripled into it. You know, we'll see ya. We'll see ya around Mithrax. Next is one that I personally love. Team Master Theotar is leaving the Battlegrounds. I am, like I said, quite sad to see Theotar go again, but the new Tier 6 that uses spells to buff minions seems kind of sick. On Tier 6, Uther the Lightbringer is leaving. Uther was necessary to protect your Rivendare from this minion, but this minion's leaving too. Zap is leaving. Zap is such a big deal that Zap is leaving. This is another one where, similar to Selfless, I believe, has been in since the beginning. It's only gotten a stat line change. So really massive that Zap is leaving. It was a really useful tool, especially when your opponent was running a Rivendare board and you wanted to remove that Rivendare and they didn't buff it with Uther, or prior to Uther, they didn't buff it with Blood Gems or however they could. Really big deal that Zap is leaving. I know we're seeing another Wind Fury come to Tier 6, but it's different. It's not the same. Actually, I think it's about that time. We should talk about the new stuff. All of these minions were featured in the reveal video, but let's talk more about what they could possibly mean. On tier 1, we have Beleaguered Battler, the 4/5, which at the start of your turn loses 1 attack. 4/5 is really big stats for tier 1, and even though it loses 1 attack, we did see from Shady earlier that there are plenty of spells that potentially could buff a minion if you really wanted to. And also, usually you're not holding onto those minions for too long. So if it loses 1 attack per turn, it's very likely that around the time that it becomes a little less relevant, you're going to want to sell it anyways to get a little bit of gold and buy a better minion. So I think that the trade-off of this minion is fantastic. Nice stats, so you're probably not going to lose the earlier combats. And then as you get into the later combats, you have economy, you can sell it. I really like it. I think it's a great design, and if you really wanted to, as I mentioned, you can go ahead and buff it with some spells. There are spells that provide additional stats. Might not be the worst thing for like a power level, maybe. I'm getting ahead of myself. On tier 3, we have Feyrix, Wrath of the Sun. This is our new Divine Shield provider. The Avenge mechanic is not too prevalent because, you know, we don't have too many of those minions. We had the Witchwing for a while, Witchwing left. We have the Corpse Refiner, and Corpse Refiner is actually what came to mind for me. So at first I was like, Avenge 4. So we must be getting more summon-based comps. However, we do have a few, I mean, between Beast, between Undead, technically Mech, Demon, not so much right now, but we have a few minion types that provide a lot of summons, Pirates even with Scallywag on tier 1. So I think that Avenge 4 sounds a little bit more intimidating than it is. Of course, if you're playing a board that doesn't summon so much, it is very intimidating. How are you gonna have 4 minions die, actually get the value from the Divine Shield? I'm really curious to see this one in play. Next on tier 5, we have the Mad Matador. This one was very interesting to me. This is our 0/8 taunt, which once per combat, when this would take damage, deal the damage to a random enemy minion instead. In my mind, this is a very similar concept to like a Divine Shielded taunt where the first hit doesn't matter, but it's even better than that because that attack that goes into this taunt actually goes back. It's like a mirror back to your opponent's board. So depending on how combat based their board growth is, so beast comps, undead comps, things where the back of their board they want to stay alive, theoretically, this could ruin their combat. Like this minion that attacks first could go and potentially take out one of their back minions, and then all of a sudden they lose all their board growth. I think this is going to be a really fantastic tech piece, and I'm excited to see it in play. I'm curious as to what it's capable of. Next, on tier 5, we have Ensorcelled Fungus. This is another wherever this is card. We've had a few in the last couple seasons, and they're so interesting how they work. Like, imagine you're playing your game, right? And you've played several tavern spells, and then you come across a fungus in your shop, which sounds really gross when you say it like that. But you come across an ensorcelled fungus in your shop, and it's so massive because you've played all these tavern spells. Or you've discovered it. Even better, on tier 4, you triple into a 5 and you discover this. Because this is wherever this is, you could potentially discover this with those stats. This is great for multiple reasons. If you just need a heavier board piece, this could be that board piece for you. Or if you're playing consuming demons, the demons are consuming the shop and this is in your shop, guess what? You get those stats too. I think that this is a great minion and I'm really excited for it. It sounds like it's got a lot of capability, a lot of possibility, and I don't exactly have a frame of reference of how many tavern spells you would play by this point in the game, but I am going to find out, and I really am excited for this one. On tier 6, we have Nala the Redeemer. As a menagerie enjoyer, I am excited. The best part of this minion is that the growth is spell-based, so that means potentially you are not required to have an open board spot to cycle things. Think about a Caligos board where you have to cycle battle cries. Think about a Theotar board where you have to cycle neutral minions. You don't need that board spot. You can run 6 different minions of different types, of course, including like dual type, all type minions. So something that's not in the game, but is in the game through a dual type minion. You could run technically 6 different types of minions and buff every single one of them with spells. That sounds really, really good. We did just see a buff to Agam in the last patch that happened like a couple days ago. So this could be Menagerie coming back. I'm in. I'm a fan. Last but not least, on tier 6, we have Worgen Vigilante. This is our 1020, and it's our Wind Fury tier 6. This is different than Zap because it does not go for the lowest attack. It goes for something it can kill. So as long as the health value is lower than the attack value of the Worgen, it could go for that minion. So it's got this RNG factor now. Seeing something new like this coming into tier 6 and Zap leaving has my mind spinning. And I think there's so many possibilities here and lots of fun and lots of RNG. There we have it, that's Season 6 neutral minions. Thank you so much to Blizzard for the opportunity to reveal these to you. And on Monday, December 4th, I will also be playing in the early access event on my Twitch channel, which you can find in the description. And the season goes live on Tuesday, December 5th. So we'll see you then. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, everyone.